Hello, gamers! My name is Dark, and welcome back to another episode on the Ignitor SMP. Yes, we are here back in the Mega Base starting off today, because we're going to do a lot more work in here today. And we have some exciting news. The server, it has been upgraded. We are now on 121.10, which is the very latest, with all the new goody things, including shelves and copper golems and other things, and we're going to be using all of those things now that we've upgraded. We really want to make use of these new features as best we can, and so that's what we're going to be doing today. In the future, I'm going to be using copper golems to bring this base alive. That's always been the plan. I want to have them wandering around, and I've got some ideas on how to achieve that. But first, we're going to do something in the shelf variety. Now, Dippy Blether and myself have agreed to go into business. Yes, my annoying neighbour with her llama sanctuary next door. We're going to be working together. Isn't that great? And we're going to be selling shelves and banners. Now, for this new recipe, I think we need some stripped logs. And there we go. Here we go. Shelf. Ooh, okay. 6 stripped logs make 6 of the shelves. Pretty cool. And these guys we just line up like so. That's awesome. We're going to do some experiments with this in terms of inventory swapping and putting stuff in and out. Because if you power these, they sort of link and then you can put stuff in and out. But this is pretty interesting. There's going to be some cool texture stuff we're going to be able to do with this. Now, the main thing we're going to be doing in this shop is we're going to be selling these, of course, but we're also going to be selling banners. And these banners, of course, you can put stuff on using the loom, and you can do the things with letters in particular. And then you can... Oh, did I put an entire stack in there? How do I just put one? Let's do it this way. You get the idea. You put these little guys in here, and if they've got letters on them, you can spell out signs and have a different way of displaying signage in the world. Isn't that interesting? That's going to be one of the main things that we're going to be selling. So we're going to be selling the shelves, we're going to be selling the banners independently with the letters already on them, and then in all the colours, and all the colours of wood, of course. And yeah, that's going to enable us to open a new shop. But there's going to be some things to do before we get there. We've already got our wood farm, and we've got a lot of wood. Here's all our oak, for example, from our oak farm, and etc, etc. We've got tons and tons of all the types of wood, so we can make all of the shelves that we need. But the wool, we're going to need the wool in order to be able to do all the banners, because they do use quite a bit. Now, you would not be surprised to learn that this far into a season, coming up on 2 years already, that yeah, we have a wool shop and farm on the server. However, the member who ran that farm and shop has unfortunately left the server, and so it's been abandoned. And you know, I could just go and take over those things, but this particular wool farm that was created is only small. It's in this person's starter base, and unless we spend a large amount of time in that area, which we're not going to do, it's not going to really produce wool anymore. So that's what we're going to solve today. We're going to make an epic wool farm in this base. So it is going to be loaded all the time that I'm here. It's going to be producing, and it is going to be very productive. And as you know, in my city here, I like to make all of my buildings functional. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to make a functional building. For example, this is a creeper farm. You can see creepers falling down right now. I've left it on, and it's constantly generating gunpowder. Right next door is this guy, which is a sugarcane farm. And this is constantly producing and collecting sugarcane. And with the two of those things combined, on this side we've got an automatic firework rocket factory. And if we put sand into this machine over here, this is our automatic TNT factory. And of course, last episode we built one of these guys, and this is the mud factory, which enables us to get all of the mud, which we coated all of the walls. So yeah, every building has a purpose. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're going to make another building that has another purpose in our city here. And I think we're going to put it right over here. It's going to be a bit of a big boy, but I think there's a nice opening right here, and start expanding out into this area right next to the mud farm. So the very first thing we're going to do is dig a bit of a hole, and then I'm going to go gather some materials, all of the redstone bits, and we're going to build the machine part of this, the actual farm part, as part 1. Then we're going to figure out what to put around it and to decorate it in a way so that it fits in nicely with the city. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Nice. That gives us the basics of our wool farm. I say basics. It's a chunky little wool farm, isn't it? It looks pretty interesting. I wanted to make it this kind of vertical shape so that I could, you know, put a building around it and it to be contained inside. But yeah, let's take a little look around and see what I've done here. So this is going to be the entrance, of course, and this is just going to be our interface to everything. And this is where we're going to end up with shulkers of wool of all of the varying colors. Item filtered. Let's go into free cam for the rest of this, shall we? So yeah, here we have shulker box loaders. They're all slowly filling up, and they will output into these chests where we can pick up the bits and pieces. And of course, above that we have the item filters. So here we have filters set for all of the different wool types. And that's mirrored on both sides, so we have the same over here. So we have 8 and 8 on either side, and you can see here the wool is slowly just dripping on down. It's coming out of these droppers. There's some green wool going around, and the green obviously got picked up way over here. There's some more green coming that way. So yeah, we've got the circular runway thing, and everything that gets dropped in the system just goes around in the circle. There's 2 halves to the farm above, the front half and the back half, and they just lead with all of these hopper chains all the way down into these auto droppers that just spit them into the water, and it'll go around the ice track until it finds the appropriate filter, and in go the wool. That brings us to the little wool stations up above. So we've obviously got all the different coloured sheep already in here. As with any mob-based farm like this, you probably saw from the time-lapse, moving the mobs around and getting them in position is actually one of the most time-consuming parts, especially getting them up all the way to the very top here from down there. It took a little while, but hey, I designed this sort of individual module, which is just repeated 16 times. So we have the sheep sitting in there, and it's a auto crafting shears, auto shearing setup. So the shears go in the dispenser. And it detects whenever the grass is eaten, which generates the wool on the sheep and then shears them. And then there's a hopper minecart stuck inside the block underneath, picking up the drops. And then on top of that, we've just got an auto crafter here that detects whenever the dispenser is not giving off a maximum signal. Whenever it's not full, it'll auto-craft a new pair of shears from iron in this chest and deposit them in. It's got like the dispenser and 3 hoppers worth of storage there to store the shears in. So that should keep us going for ever. I probably will never have to top up that iron. And everything just collects, deposits, filters, shulker loads, and boom, there we go. That, as they say, is that, and I'm very happy with how that all turned out. However, we are not done just yet, of course. We can't leave it like this. This is a city, of course, and in a city we put in buildings, and I designed it to be specifically the shape in order for us to be able to put a building around it. So that's what we're going to do next. I'm going to gather some materials, and then we're going to jump straight into time-lapse number 2 and put in a building around a wool farm. Let's do it. Alrighty, check out this. We have the hotel sheep corner where you can check in, but those sheep shall never leave. It's a very different kind of build. I like it. It's gone with a much warmer palette. As I mentioned last time, with this mud farm behind me right here, with all the white and the greys and the blacks, I really wanted to go for something cooler, but I didn't want to continue that. I wanted that to be a standout building, so it produces a lot of contrast and a lot of pop, and this guy was meant to be nice and warm, and kind of in a similar palette to a lot of the other stuff we've got going on over the other side here. In fact, let's go to our lookout view. This is our reference point for how the city is looking, and we look across the whole landscape here. You can see how much that building pops compared to the rest, and yeah, very happy with how this is starting to look from this angle. Very nice. Slightly obscured by the arch in this particular entrance view, but yeah, I like it a lot. It's nice and detailed, and yeah, hotel-like. That's what it's meant to be. It's meant to be looking a little bit like a hotel, almost cyberpunky in a kind of way. It's a little bit more dilapidated. We've got a lot more of the bars going on. I used a lot more of these copper bars. So here's a lot of these new materials: copper chains, copper bars in different oxidized states, and we've used that in a couple of different places, as well as a lot of the bookshelves. Let me get a free cam here so we can really look around. Look at this. We've got the shelves. Giving us a lot of texture here, and in these little balcony things, both in both orientations, to create these little planter nooks in between what are the windows into the hotel rooms. There's the little sheepsies inside there. So obviously these are the expensive rooms in a hotel with the view. They look out over the rest of the city, and the other side is the back. It's got a side to it, but the back is embedded kind of into the mountain, and these guys have a less pretty view with these the sheep rooms at the back of the hotel. Yeah, so we've got the 4 stories of the sheep farm. We've got a couple of like window boxes at the top in order to help form the roof, and then we've got like a billboard sign on the edge here, kind of looking a little bit cyberpunky, I would say. And then we've got walkways coming all the way down, and on this side as well, like a fire escape thing, again using more of these copper bars. I'm really quite liking the texture these things give. And yeah, a bit of vegetation here and there. We've got like the candles giving us a little bit of detail from afar that adds just a little bit of extra noise around there. Lots of different uses of trapdoors all over the place and vegetation. Obviously a lot of the tuff and lighting. Let's also turn off gamma so we can see what it looks like. Nicely lit. And let's also go to shaders here so we can see how this guy looks when totally beautificated with the shaders. Look at that. Let's just load the rest of the base in here. Okay. Great. Yeah, really liking that. The light source is really popping and giving that sort of high contrasty vibe that we can get from the cyberpunk aesthetic. And each of the little rooms is all kind of lit up from the inside as well. So the sheep's got their own little light sources in here, helping them so everything stays spawn proof and to give them some light. And as is the way with so many of my builds, I do like to make them completely navigatable by foot. So we're going through the entrance here and use more of these bookshelves coming up in and out of here, which is great. That trapdoor should be flipped up. And then we've got a couple of door access points in and out. So this is how we're going to get inside the machine, and we can access all of our filters in here. And we can also get around to the back, and we can top up the shulker box loader. I forgot to show this in the technical parts. Obviously we are shulker box loading all of the materials here, and this is a shulker box crafter. So whenever any of these hoppers, these ones here, don't have anything in them, they will turn off those comparators, turning on that torch, and that'll send a signal around to the rest of the system here, and that in turn will set off this little minecart full of shulker boxes around this track that is going to do a big old circuit all the way around all of those hoppers, filling up any empty shulker box spots in all of them, and when it comes back here it'll fill up again, and this machine would have been crafting shulkers the whole time, replenishing our supply. I have a tutorial for this shulker box crafter. I'll put the link on screen now. So we never need to worry about the shulker box loader running out. We've already loaded this thing up with a whole shulker box of woods, and there's one in the system and another of shells here. So that's going to last us quite a long time. You can hear this thing clicking away and just dropping wool constantly into those. So drip feeding little by little. And yeah, we can walk all the way around the back here and out to the first balcony. This takes us all the way around, up and down the stairs. We can also get around the back here into the backstage. Let's take the stairs up. We can go up this side, all the way up, in through the little window box at the top, and this gets us to the very top of the inside of the farm, and here's where we can top up the iron that is also crafting all of those shears on demand. And using the system, I've got a ladder here somewhere. Oh, here's the ladder in the middle. Yeah, so from here we can access any one of the levels, get into any of these boxes, top everything up inside the farm, and access to the other stairwell on the other side, which again can give us access to the balconies. And say hi to the sheep. So there she is, and it won't be long until we get our first shulker boxes of wool appearing in here. I've been in and around this place building it for some time, and yeah, I think we must be pretty close to getting our first full shulker boxes of wool anytime. And it's just going to keep drip feeding throughout the rest of our time here on the server. So the next thing I wanted to do here was just have a little bit of a play with these shelf guys. So we've got these new blocks, and if we power them, we can stick stuff in them, like put a shelf in a shelf. Bit weird. If we power it, it goes like this, and then when we right click, there we go. The last three, just that one. If we did this one as well, this would take out our entire hotbar, put it there, and bring it back again. Pretty interesting stuff. Now my hotbar generally, let's get rid of these two. It's generally pretty fixed hotbar. Like the last couple of items is always rockets and food. And I'm wondering if I can just have a rocket and food updatery. Like I keep one of each item in my inventory at all times, and then I can funnel stuff into here using a hopper. So let's get some extra rockets. How many rockets did I have on me? I had 21 there, so let's put in a stack of stuff on top. Now that's flowing in, and if I pick this up, I should have 31. Yeah, there we go, it's topping them up. That's great. So if I did the same with food and then had one other item, what could it be? I don't know, let's just say it's torches. And as long as we had one of each item in there at all times, and filled it up again from here, then we could use this as our rocket top-up station. Obviously we're going to carry this with us at all times, and we've got our automatic rocket factory, which is just over here. Well, we could have a system here where we just... Let's put those back in there. Whenever we want more, like if we're low on food or rockets, we just come over and right-click this guy, and it'll swap us out with a full stack of torches, a full stack of food, and a full stack of rockets. And then this will... the problem is... Okay, I continue to play around with this idea for a little while, putting multiple hoppers around the thing and seeing what happens if we have different items flowing in from different hoppers. If we emptied this thing completely and it was starting from scratch, or even if, just say, we completely ran out of food and we swapped our inventory around, what would happen to the middle slot there? And the answer is, it's random. Anything might fill that slot, so you kind of need to preserve at least one item in there and get them back in the right order, which is a little tricky. So I think I'm just going to hop over to Creative World and do a little bit of testing real quick. Okay, so I did a couple of tests here in Creative. My first was this idea where I was trying to have the items in the hoppers leading into this thing, and using a system to detect when this got swapped out and when it wasn't full, and unlocking the appropriate hoppers. It was getting really complicated, didn't really work, and if more than one item was out at any given time, then a random item just flowed back in and we lost the order of things that we want to preserve here, so that didn't work. Second idea here was to use a hopper chain in order to preserve like the order of things going in so it doesn't get too mixed up, and to make sure there's always one of something in here. So the problem is trying to solve is, yeah, if I came up to this thing and tried swapping out my inventory and say I had torches and carrots but I didn't have rockets, that would create an empty slot pulling that stuff out, and what would go in that final slot could be any one of the 3 items, depending on how things are being pulled in. The idea here being that we would keep the main hopper pulling items out of this chest locked at all times, and then in the hopper chain leading up to this, we would keep it so we'd have like 1 food, 1 rocket, 1 torch, whatever, still in this hopper chain in order. So what we'd want to do is come over here, take the items, and then trigger the system, which would allow each of those items to flow in here. So say, and they would flow in the correct order. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, and that would be 1, 2, 3 in terms of the order of the hoppers that sit behind. Therefore, if 1, 2, or 3 of these items ever I had none of in my inventory, and it completely removed them from here, that those items in that order would be torch, food, rockets would flow in, torch, food, rocket, preserving the order, so there'd be at least 1 of each item ready to flow right back in. And then when triggered, we'd have like a clock that would just make sure it spits out exactly the right number of items, so we get a stack of, in this case this is the carrots coming in, and it would allow an additional stack to come in, keeping that additional 1 item minimum pause from here. It was getting really complicated. I can't control the exact numbers because I can't read the individual slots on here and determine which ones need to be locked when, so it could get messy, and it was introducing all of this complexity just to solve for the fact that what if I tried doing this when I completely ran out of one of these 3 items in my last 3 slots. So I thought, well, I just won't let that happen. For the sake of simplicity, let's just remove all of this complexity, and that allows us to just do this. So as long as we always have some torches, some carrots, some rockets in our inventory, we can come over and just do something that is no more complex than this, that is just, there's always going to be stuff in these 3 slots in this order, and they'll always fill up to a complete stack, and when I'm ready, I just come over, swap it out, job's done. I think that's going to be a way simpler, way more efficient way of doing things, so I'm going to take this simple concept, put it into survival now, and maybe we'll revisit this again in the future, but it's so complicated and I don't think I can make it bulletproof either way, so we'll probably not bother with that. Right, back to survival. Alright, and I have put that in survival back on the server here now, and I actually opted to go with scaffolding and food and rockets. Scaffolding is something I always have on me. I always find it useful to just be able to whack up a bit of scaffolding, and it's one of those things I often find pieces just, disappear when you break it, and it's hard to collect them all, and you end up with less than a stack each time. So that's what I've done. I actually haven't got that much scaffolding in here because I don't use a lot of it, but we should have a whole hopper and a bit of chest of food, and a whole bunch of rockets, which are going to be the biggest consumables here. So this will be my first test of this, and as you can see in my hotbar here, I have 30 scaffolding, 32 carrots, 21 rockets, and if I go and switch this out, boom, we're fully stocked. And then those will all get topped up. We should see items flowing through here. There we go. Filling these back up to full stacks again. So whenever we need, like probably whenever I log out or whenever I feel like I need to, I can just come over here and right-click this guy, and boom, our permanent hotbar spots are going to be fulfilled. I just need to be careful if I end up with like an empty space. I'm going to take an entire stack from there, and then any one of the 3 things in here could randomly come in, and I'm going to need to fix it. So I just need to try and make sure to do this before I completely run out of items in these 3 slots, and then we should be good. We will see how well that works long term and report back on it and see if it's worth investing more in that other restocking idea. It's going to have its own set of issues. It'll be a little less fragile to breaking, but it'll still be possible to break it, I imagine. And yeah, the complexity just made it huge and annoying, so we won't be doing that just yet. Okie dokie. Well, I think that's all we got time for this episode. We got our wool farm in place and everything is going swimmingly. And next episode, we can concentrate on that shelf shop idea, the sign shop. And hopefully by then we'll do a bit of AFK time, get a bit of wool in here. So we've at least got a couple of shulkers of each color. And yeah, then we're going to be using the wood that we have to make all those shelves, probably make an automatic shelf factory of some kind, and then work with Dippy on what our idea is for how to package this whole idea up into a shop. So that's all we've got time for this episode. If you liked it, please do give us a like, and if you want to see what we get up to next time, then please subscribe. Oh yeah, we're going to play with copper golems. We're going to do that next time too. I'm going to have them running around all over the city, so that's going to be fun. See you next time. Take care for now. Bye-bye.